Welcome back, deep divers. Ready for another thrilling journey into the world of storytelling?
Always.
Well, this time we're going noir. 1950s noir, to be exact.
Ooh, love it. Dark alleys, smoky bars, and secrets lurking around every corner.
Exactly. We're diving into Tiger by the Tail, a gripping novel by James Hadley Chase.
Now, that's a name that screams classic noir. What's the setup?
Picture this. Ken Holland, an ordinary bank clerk, leading a quiet suburban life, white picket fence, the whole 9 yards. But he's got this itch, this desire for one last adventure before settling into middle age.
I feel like I've seen this movie before. Isn't that how all noir stories start? The ordinary guy with an itch he just can't scratch.
Right, and who better to scratch that itch than his friend Jim Parker, the ultimate bad influence? While Ken's wife, Anne, is away visiting her mother, Parker convinces him to have a night out that takes a very dark turn.
So this one last fling is about to backfire spectacularly, I'm guessing.
Spectacularly is an understatement. Parker introduces Ken to Faye Carson, a hostess who, let's just say, caters to a certain type of clientele.
Ah, the classic femme fatale. Is she trouble with a capital T?
Oh, you bet. But not in the way you might expect. Their first encounter is incredibly awkward. Ken is so out of his element, you almost feel sorry for him.
I love that Chase subverts our expectations right from the start. It makes Ken's descent into this dark world even more compelling.
It's like watching a fish out of water. He's clearly not cut out for this life. But then Parker takes him to the Blue Rose, a swanky nightclub straight out of a Hollywood film.
Now we're talking. The Blue Rose, I bet that's where all the real action happens.
It's a melting pot of characters. Gangsters, socialites, you name it. Ken spots Sam Darcy, the club owner, and his wife, Claudette. There's even this mysterious blonde man lurking in the shadows who'll play a bigger role later on.
I'm getting chills just imagining the atmosphere. The smoky haze, the clinking glasses, the undercurrent of danger. You can practically smell the trouble brewing.
It's pure noir atmosphere, dripping with intrigue. But Ken's second visit to Faye's apartment is where things really take a turn for the worse. He meets Raphael Sweeting, the creepiest landlord you can imagine, with his little Pekingese dog, Leo.
Hold on, did you say a Pekingese dog? What kind of noir story has a Pekingese dog?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Trust me, this dog is more important than you think. Anyway, Ken gets this really bad feeling about Sweeting and decides to leave, but it's too late. He finds Faye murdered in her bedroom.
Whoa. Talk about a plot twist. So what does our accidental detective do?
He panics. Instead of calling the police, he tries to cover his tracks, wiping down surfaces and tossing his blood-stained clothes in the trash.
Classic wrong man scenario. I bet this decision comes back to haunt him.
Oh, it definitely will. And to make matters worse, we're introduced to Lieutenant Adams, the detective assigned to the case. He's sharp, but under pressure to solve this quickly and quietly.
Uh-oh. Sounds like someone doesn't want this case making headlines.
You got it. As the investigation unfolds, evidence starts pointing toward Ken. The downstairs neighbor, May, describes a man leaving Faye's apartment who matches Ken's description.
Yikes. That's not good for our hapless bank clerk.
And to top it off, a phone call made to Faye before her death was traced back to the Eastern National Bank Ken's workplace.
Oh, man, he's in deep now. Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
It's like a noose is slowly tightening around his neck. And then we meet Sean O'Brien, the owner of Faye's apartment building.
Hold up, isn't owning just one apartment building a little small time for a noir villain?
Oh, he's much more than just a landlord. O'Brien is powerful, connected, and engaged to Gilda Dorman, Faye's former friend and roommate. And just to spice things up, Gilda has a brother, Johnny, who has a troubled past and a very bad temper.
Okay, now things are getting interesting. A love triangle, a jealous ex, and a powerful figure lurking in the background.
Exactly. And just as Ken is trying to process all of this, guess who decides to blackmail him?
Let me guess. The creepy landlord with the Pekingese.
Bingo. Sweeting saw Ken at Faye's apartment, and now he wants a piece of the action. It's like Ken is trapped in a spider web with danger closing in from all sides.
This is classic noir. The everyman caught in a web of deceit, desperately trying to break free. You know, it's amazing how Chase takes this story and flips it. Goes from this mystery, who killed Faye, into this, oh man, Ken's in trouble. He's got to get out of this mess.
Yeah, he's running from the cops, but also this whole other world of criminals and thugs. Like, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Totally. And then, to make things even worse, the cops find even more evidence.
Right. His clothes, the ones he tossed out, they found them. Plus, get this, turns out Ken owns a green Lincoln.
Uh-oh. Same as the one seen near Faye's apartment.
You know it. It's like every move Ken makes just digs him deeper into this hole.
It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be bad, but you just can't look away. Meanwhile, what's O'Brien up to?
Well, he's convinced that Johnny, Gilda's brother, is the one who killed Faye.
So he confronts him, head on.
Oh, yeah. It's a tense scene. Really reveals a lot about O'Brien. I mean, what do you make of this guy? Is he just trying to protect himself, or is there something more going on?
He's definitely got that classic noir villain vibe, but there's also this sense that he's trying to hold on to something, to control everything and everyone around him.
I see that. And then there's Louis, this small-time crook who thinks he can take advantage of the whole situation.
Oh no, that never ends well.
It doesn't. He tries to blackmail Gilda using what he knows about Johnny, but let's just say he underestimates Tux.
Tux, O'Brien's enforcer.
The one and only Louis learns the hard way that some secrets are best left buried.
Yeah, messing with O'Brien's inner circle. It's a recipe for disaster.
And just when you think Ken's got enough problems, he gets caught by O'Brien's men.
No, taken to Willow Point.
That's right. O'Brien's secluded hideout.
Oh.
It seems like the end of the line for Ken. But then something unexpected happens.
He escapes?
Not alone. He finds an unlikely ally in Johnny who's also being held captive.
We'll talk about a twist of fate.
Yeah.
So they team up and make a break for it.
It's a wild scene. Rooftop chase, shootout with the cops, the whole works. It's like something straight out of an action movie.
I can just picture it. The tension, the adrenaline, two guys from different worlds thrown together by circumstance fighting for their lives.
Exactly. But just when you think you've got the story figured out, Chase throws another curveball.
There's more. Don't tell me. O'Brien's the killer.
Nope. Even better, Gilda. The seemingly innocent fiancé, she's the one who killed Faye. Jealousy and a twisted sense of loyalty to her brother, that's what drove her.
Wow, I did not see that coming. So it wasn't a femme fatale after all. It was the quiet one you never suspect.
You got it, and it makes you rethink everything you thought you knew about the characters and their motivations.
That's the beauty of good noir. It keeps you guessing until the very end.
As the truth comes out, Lieutenant Adams starts connecting the dots. It all leads to a final showdown with O'Brien.
A classic standoff. Good versus evil.
You know it. But it doesn't end the way you'd expect O'Brien and Maurice Yard, Gilda's former lover. They both end up dead. It's a bittersweet victory, justice served, but at a high cost.
That's noir for you, right? Even when the bad guys get what's coming to them, there's always a sense of loss, a feeling that things will never truly be right again.
And what about Ken? He escapes the chaos and goes back home to Anne like nothing ever happened.
Back to his normal life, like it was all just a bad dream.
But is it really over for Ken? That's the question Chase leaves us with. Remember Sweeting's Pekingese, Leo?
Oh, right. The little dog. What about him?
Well, guess who shows up at Ken's door?
No way. Leo. But how?
We're not sure exactly, but what we do know is that Ken's past isn't going to let him off that easy. The tiger's tail, it's still there, lurking in the shadows.
You know, you're right, that little dog. It's not just a pet. It's like a symbol of everything Ken's been through, of the secrets he's keeping, the darkness he's encountered. And now it's right there, in his house, in his life, a constant reminder.
And Anne, she has no idea, right? Just thinks it's a cute little dog.
Exactly. The irony is almost painful. She's so happy, welcoming this little creature that represents, well, everything she doesn't know about.
It's like Chase is saying that you can't outrun your past. No matter how hard you try, it always finds a way to catch up.
Yeah, a haunting thought.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Tiger by the Tail, what stands out for you? What makes this story, this whole noir genre, so captivating?
I think it's the way it explores the duality of human nature.
Yeah.
Like, we all have this capacity for both good and evil, and noir, it really shines a light on that.
Right. These characters, they're not just good guys or bad guys. They're complex, conflicted, and that's what makes them so interesting.
Like Ken. He starts out as this ordinary guy, but then circumstances force him to make choices, to confront a side of himself he never knew existed.
And it all starts with that one seemingly harmless decision.
Right.
The one last fling. That's what sets everything in motion.
Exactly. It's like Chase is saying, be careful what you wish for, because sometimes those desires, those little itches we all have, they can lead us down some very dark paths.
It's a cautionary tale, for sure, but it's also a reminder that even in the darkest of times, we still have choices to make.
And those choices have consequences, some bigger than others. And speaking of choices, let's talk about Gilda. I mean, wow, what a twist.
Talk about a wolf in sheep's clothing. She goes from being this seemingly innocent character to the mastermind behind it all.
Driven by love, no less, but a love that's so twisted, so possessive, that it becomes destructive.
It's a reminder that even the purest of emotions can be corrupted, especially when mixed with jealousy and a need for control.
And then there's the whole theme of appearances versus reality. Nothing is what it seems in this world.
Right. Everyone's wearing a mask, hiding their true intentions, and you never know who to trust.
It's a reflection, I think, of the times. This was post-war America, a time of anxiety, paranoia, the Cold War looming over everything.
Noir thrives in those shadows, in that uncertainty. It exposes the underbelly of society, the cracks in the facade.
And it makes you question everything you thought you knew about the people around you, about the world itself.
So, for anyone who hasn't yet ventured into the dark and twisty world of Tiger by the Tail, what would you say to them?
I'd say buckle up. It's a wild ride full of suspense, betrayal, and unforgettable characters.
And be prepared to question everything, to look beyond the surface and delve into the heart of human darkness.
Because in the world of noir, nothing is black and white. And sometimes the most dangerous predator is the one you least expect.
Until next time, deep divers. Keep exploring those hidden depths, but be careful not to get caught in the web yourself.